Well, thank you, French special shalom. Greetings to you all. I hope you all, in the path of Hurricane Harvey, are safe. Get out of the way. It can be devastating. Things can always be replaced. Life cannot. So if you're in the path of Harvey, move out of the way. Now, I hope you all had a great eclipse last week. I'm sure my good friend Nina had a fantastic time with Sadie at their home in Nashville, a city that was in the path of totality. And I got to enjoy the full effects of the eclipse. Now, what a great term, totality. It really sounds so space age, doesn't it? Well, if you missed it, do not worry. There's another one that we get to enjoy in North America in April of 2024. April 8th to be exact. And that one's going to go from Texas all the way up to the Northeast, kind of like the pattern of a storm front. And its path of totality goes right over Buffalo and Niagara Falls. So book your hotel room now. If you've never been to the falls, it's worth seeing. Not much there. Anyhow, I think Eclipse is doing an amazing job at helping show us the fantastic pattern of God's creating. And it reminds us that no matter how much we want the world to run on Charlie time, or Yaakov time, Wilhelm time, or Arve time, it turns on its own sacred time, God's time. And we just have to get used to our existing on the universe's time or God's time. Now, Einstein once had this advice for a colleague of his at Princeton, who was having great difficulty with a project he was researching. And they were writing back and forth, because in those days people still wrote letters. And Einstein wrote to him and he said, "You should not be depressed by the enormity of the problem. If God has created the world, his primary order was certainly not to make its understanding easy for us. The great mysteries of creation are just a little bit beyond the reach of man." And sometimes we just don't want to acknowledge that. God knows there's an answer. God knows it's all in place. God knows it might be working right now, looking us right straight in the face. Ain't no rhyme or reason. I know it can't be wrong. It was supposed to last a season, but it's been so strong for so long. The hand of God, it's evidenced everywhere you look, my friends. Just open your eyes. It's all around you. You see it, you taste it, you hear it, you feel it, and you know it. When you think about how you can connect to a higher energy by being part of a greater whole, you just know that there's a greater meaning behind things. And we come together as part of a greater whole and share spirit, energy, the gift of fellowship. So as friends, as a chavura, a fellowship, let's all join together to express our nature of kindness, of compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes that unites us all as we come together every week in this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach. So once again, please do go ahead and invite everybody that you know, physically, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, to gather and share. From Psalm 133, the Psalms of David, the Hine Metov, come together. Hine Metov. Yachad, Hine Matov, Umanai, Shebitahim Gam, Yachad. How good, how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community, 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 together. So as a community, let us all spread love, goodwill, fellowship to the world. And let's send a special birthday greeting to Juliet, a rose by any other name. And I'm so happy to report that Sherry's surgery was a great success. And she is well on the road to recovery and knows she is in our hearts, our thoughts, our prayers, our health and our healing, and our constant ability to renew our lives, our spirits, our energy. It knows no bounds, my friends. So let's come together and send renewal and goodwill and love and healing to the world. In healing and helping others, we heal and help ourselves. Now I'm thinking of the spirits, the souls, the reach of our loved ones. We renew and strengthen our own connection with them and with everyone And we learn to share our love and goodwill with those less fortunate, with those who encounter difficulty, who encounter sadness. So let's all send healing, love and goodwill to all in need of renewal, to those in need, to you, to everybody. For a great healer and kind, compassionate man, my friend Dwayne, who gives of himself to everybody but gets stuck himself once in a while, as do we all. We are praying for you, my friend. And let's all join together to send renewal to Harry and to Lori. Let's send goodwill and peace and healing to Lindsay and Teresa, to the Bee, to Pierre, and of course for you, for your spirits, for all in need of elevation, of healing, or renewal. The kindness, healing, wishes, goodwill, and love that you all send out, it just circles the world, finding those in need. So thank you, each and every single one of you. Shabera Avoteinu Makor Chabracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Misha Baruch, Amen. Misha Baruch is good healing and renewal for everybody. So let's all, every single one of us, have our spirits renewed. Now this week, we're really winding down on Deuteronomy. There's only a couple of weeks left. But this week, we return to the idea of judges. Don't forget, almost everything we see, we've seen before. So it's this repetition. And this week, we go back to the idea of judges. Shoftim. First proposed by the Midianite priest, none other than Moses' father-in-law, Jethro. Before whatever happened, to change the Midianites from family and friend to foe. Now, a lot can happen in a year, or 40 in this case. Why, just a year ago, Bruce and Ellen were in the jungle where the mighty tiger lies. A lot can happen. And what is interesting is when the idea of judges is brought up again here in Deuteronomy 16:18. Judges and overseers you shall set for yourself within all your gates that the Lord your God is about to give you according to your tribes. And they shall judge the people with just judgment. Now, what an interesting phrase. Judgment with justice. Mishpat tzedek. Now, we use tzedek as a title for righteousness. But it's more. So this phrase, judgment with justice, calls for higher forms of justice. And perhaps that's why Moses also adds, you shall not skew judgment. You shall recognize no face, and no bribe shall you take, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and perverts the words of the innocent. Justice, for justice's sake. Pure truth, no misconceptions, no preconceived notions, no falsities. We need to remember that. We need to still remember that even in our own concepts of justice. I'm sick and tired of hearing things of misguided, short-sighted, narrow-minded hypocrites. All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth. Now, you will notice that even though there may be several different things that goes on in any given parsha, there's often an underlying theme, and this week is no different. We open with judges, and we close with military service. But friends, this is about truth. Truth to others, truth to self, truth to the universe, truth. The capital T stuff, right, which we don't come across that often. Now, it should be obvious, but regrettably it needs to be said, judgment and justice are not the same thing. When there is a failure to pursue justice in the performance of judgment, there is a perversion and degradation of the law. And maybe, just maybe, in order to ensure that there be proper justice, because of man's tendency, we're told that in a capital case, on the word of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall the one who is to die be put to death. one shall not be put to death on the word of one witness. One witness alone just does not suffice. He may lie, he may stretch, he may prevaricate. There's a built-in need for corroboration. We're further told, and this is the amazing part, Deuteronomy 17:7, the witness's hand shall be on him first to put him to death, and all the people's hands after that. So you shall burn away what is bad from among you. Witnesses first, all the people after. That's incredible. Numerous commentators throughout history discuss the first half of this verse, but not the second. It is, of course, significant that witnesses must know that if they testify against someone in a capital case, they will have to strike the first blow against the defendant themselves. Now, this conveys vividly how serious their testimony actually is. But it is at least as significant that all the people participate in the execution as well. Capital punishment is the act of a community. In ancient Israel, and even more so in democracies, in biblical law, the community must know that if they're going to have capital punishment, they must understand that this means the community as a whole is taking lives. So the entire community must participate in the execution. In post-biblical societies, where the entire people does not participate personally, this may point to, responsibility is something that can be forgotten. But nonetheless, a community that has capital punishment is responsible as a community for the lives that it takes. It's not just the executioner, or just the witnesses, or just the courts. Community. Community is connection. Perhaps because in ancient Israel, all the people had to carry out the execution, capital punishment became almost impossible under rabbinic law. And I've talked a bit before, and here we see in Deuteronomy 17:8 the mechanism for change in law to account for changes in times and for changes in things. You inquire of the new generation of learned people, be they rabbis, be they judges, it doesn't matter. If a matter for judgment will be too daunting for you, you shall inquire, and they will tell you the matter of the judgment. Well, that almost goes against our belief that we have to do whatever was said before. In every law code, there must be a mechanism for change, for application to new and difficult situations. Now, even if the law is divine law, there must be such a mechanism. And the Torah recognizes this and provides for it, my friends. It directs that in such difficult questions, the authorities, the judges, the priests, the authorities in law and religion, in each age, shall determine what to do. And believe it or not, this has always been done in Judaism. The most obvious distinction among the movements in Judaism right now has been their different views of how the laws change. Now, the primary consideration when authorities, including scholars and rabbis, determine that a law is changed is that they do so with wisdom and reverence and not with arrogance. And in reading this, you actually get a really great clue as to when this was written, and that it is different. Deuteronomy 17:9. And you shall come to the Levite priests and to the judge who will be in those days, meaning the future days, and you shall inquire, and they will tell you the matter of the judgment. So it's being set up that you go to the people in power at the time. But the giveaway here, my friends, was the term, the Levite priests. Now, historically, originally all Levites were priests. Later, the Levite group that identified itself purely as the descendants of Aaron took exclusive hold of the priesthood and limited all the other Levites to a secondary role. Therefore, this is telling us when this was written, and a distinction was made between priests and Levites. This is obviously a later book. Deuteronomy 17:14 also suggests to us that this was written much later because it was written during the kingship, which did not exist, of course, in the wilderness years. And it serves here almost like a prediction. When you'll come to the land and say, let me set a king over me like all the nations that are around me, you shall set a king over you whom the Lord your God will choose. Now that's interesting, because God must choose the king. The ultimate authority, even for matters of state, is therefore God. Now this means that a prophet must designate the king as chosen by God. And therefore Samuel designates Saul and David, and Nathan designates Solomon. Kings are acceptable if the people want them, but their power is limited and balanced by the power of prophets. And as a further measure, it was suggested that the king not be allowed to acquire too many horses or too much gold and silver or too many wives. Excess, my friends, which none of them actually followed. Things we see, I guess, today in the swamp of politics and religion. Religion and politics have always gone hand in hand. Now, I've said this book is different, and I've always said it was different. And here is really why I think so. Deuteronomy 17:18. And it will be when he sits on his kingdom's throne, meaning the king, that he shall write himself a copy of this instruction on a scroll from in front of the Levite priest. So again, it's about the Levite priest, it's about the king, but it's about him. The king is to be actively engaged in personally producing a text of the teaching, a copy of it. And so the putting of religious authority in a text is actually quite a revolutionary idea, is made clear. And a copy of the teaching, which might also be translated as a repetition of this teaching, Mishnah HaTorah Hazot, is of course one of the Hebrew names as well as the Greek name for this book, Deuteronomy. Is this book, the lost book, lost for hundreds of years until it was found again at the temple, one of the books of instructions written by a king? Good question. And a lot points to it being the case. Not just with the little changes that take place, the minimization of cosmic in favor of ritual and law. So much of it points to knowledge of the future being projected into the past, as we are now given a prediction not just of a king, but of a prophet to come who will speak God's words, along with the clues as to how to tell a real from a false prophet. And this criterion for detecting false prophecy presents notorious difficulties, as you can imagine. And it occurred on several occasions in Jewish history. Now, the envisioned future prophet is not necessarily like Moses in stature, but in function. An intermediary between Israel and God, someone who hears and then transmits God's words to the people. This has been an age-old wait, and it's also been an age-old debate. It's got to end. Everything about it just feels wrong. I pretend being close is where I don't belong. Well, my back is to the sun because the light is too intense. I can see what everybody in the world is up against. I'll stay here where I can feel the hand of fate. And I don't know how much longer I can wait. Many people are still waiting. Now, this is one of the many brilliant rewritten versions of Can't Wait. Yes, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, my friends. Light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those that you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free. Be free. Honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone. An end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, good healing to all who need it. Please do learn to forgive, learn to love. Open your hearts and honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. We don't do that enough. Take advantage of the time that you have. Enjoy the journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Now bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace. Examine your intentions. Use them to imprint your will on the universe. Remember, we do set in motion everything that happens in our lives. Our intention, our cause, our effect, everything is linked. As I've said, you always have time to forgive and to be forgiven. You do have the knowledge of what is good and bad, so acknowledge what you have done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged. Ask forgiveness. And do so with sincerity, with accountability and vulnerability. Forgive those that you have hurt and those who have hurt you as you learn to be a forgiving and compassionate person. Do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching, keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear, follow love. It's always there in front of you. And remember to have faith, an unwavering adherence to principle, just as I have faith in the principle of love and of all of you. Now act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none. Cherish all. Honor every child of God, every creature of the light, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace this year. And may you nurture kindness and love everywhere you go. Work to be present in the body. Expand your heart, quiet your mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in your consciousness, your mindfulness, and your ability to be aware, to be present in all circumstances. Make the most of your time in this life. Recognize your ability to be a contagion of holiness, to touch and transform the lives of everybody around you. You are forever blessed, and you have the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet. Health, love, renewal. To everybody you come across, my friends. We're all energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Your words are your power to transform. Your thoughts are your intention. Your cabinet is. Love, be generous. Bless others, bless yourself. And do not get caught up in the politics of lies. Do not leave the oneness of community. We live in a political world. Love don't have any place. We're living in times where men commit crimes. Crime don't have any face. Be honest in all you do and all you say. Start practicing forgiveness now, my friends. Good practice for the high holy days coming up. It's the mechanism that does bring peace and happiness. It makes you one with the energy of all there is. Enjoy life. Spread blessings that you've been given, and embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger, the great lesson of life. Be there for someone, because someone will always be there for you, whether you know it or not. Be happy, be healthy, be helpful, be kind, and be loving. Until next time, Shabbat Shalom. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Take care. Bye.